The last time I saw my family was the first time I realized the fragility of free speech. This happened 5 years ago in my native city of Caracas. I remember the moment the plane arrived at the airport. I was overwhelmed with excitement. I was finally home again. My mom noticed this, but her first reaction was to give me a warning. Don't you dare speak. That struck me. Why not speak? What's the danger? If I spoke, my foreign accent would give away that I wasn't from there, which could put me in physical danger. That moment I realized I was not in Europe, and I was certainly not in a democracy. It also got me thinking. I was advised not to talk, but even if I could, I had to measure what to say and how to say it. A regulation of thought and speech, something that struck me as strangely dystopic. But what is dystopia? There is something in Western countries that is threatening to lead us down a similar path, threatening what makes up an intrinsic part of our democracy: opinion, debate, and identity. Freedom of speech is getting systematically destroyed by social media. How many of you have felt that your phone listens to your conversations? We're all sick of agreeing to the incessant messages of internet cookies plaguing our screens every time we open a website. We may be aware of their function, to collect and track our data to offer personalized advertising. But are we aware to the full extent of the consequences when we enter that contract with the website, of this breach into our privacy? We become the product of one of the most profitable markets on the planet. It is a new market, and it has been exponentially increasing for the past 10 years, so rapidly we didn't even realize how we're being commodified by it. We basically take this breach into our privacy for granted, mainly because we think it is providing us a harmless service. This service is tightly connected to our interactions on social media. It is a type of advertising that analyzes our behavior. Thus, all the content that is shown, exposed, and recommended to us is designed for us to like. In the past, you chose your media. Now the media comes to you. You're not choosing your ideological space. You're being positioned into it. Echo chambers have always existed in a sense, but social media has exacerbated them to such an extent it is threatening democracy. Imagine you're permanently stuck in a room where everyone supports your views. It feels comfortable. It's your community. The purpose of social media has become exactly that, and we like it. We agree to it and even demand it. At this point, it is impossible to imagine a future without social media being part of it. This market works for this to happen, all for advertising purposes, to perfect the service, to maximize the benefit of big tech. The extent to which power increases to influence our mentality is astonishing. In these spaces, we no longer think if what we share and consume is truthful. We confuse popularity with quality. Rationality collapses and debate gets cancelled. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of freedom of speech if you only consume your own opinion? What is the purpose of democracy if there's no diversity of views? Even more, how to be aware of this if we're deeply convinced that social media is a place that enables free speech, whereas in reality it is diminishing its value. Censorship shifts into a way that is less recognizable, but still destructive. This regulation of the diversity of views filters our opinions, controls our debates, and consequently determines our identity. We don't even feel that somehow our free speech is being regulated, because there's no one telling us directly, don't you dare speak. Every time we enter social media, we seem to have the control over what we type and what we consume. But social media's algorithm works to control who we listen to and who listens to us. Free speech becomes controlled speech because free speech on social media is not aimed to diversify views, but to intensify them. Not aimed to reflect society, but to fit a business model. Not to spark rationality, but to avoid it. Is this what we imagine when we think of our democracy? Is this what you imagine when you think of freedom of speech? this becomes really dangerous because we're not used to this type of censorship. And how to fight against something you don't know is affecting you. It becomes a question about the value of freedom of speech. The moment debate ends, free speech becomes cancelled. The moment free speech becomes worthless, democracy is in serious danger. Big tech has already overtaken us. It is perfectly capable of playing around with our cognitive bias. The way it works is mesmerizing. Social media bombards us with information, and our brain cannot keep up with this overload. According to the International Communication Association, the average time we spend switching between each content is 19 seconds. There's no way we focus on what we look at. Again, rationality collapses. This sets the perfect stage for us to become vulnerable to fake information. According to the Center for Humane Technology, fake news spreads 6 times faster than verified ones. And anger is the emotion that proliferates the most on social media. Post-truth at its best. This February, the EU proposed its first 2 acts addressing the dominance of big tech companies on the advertising world. It does not tackle the actual way social media can change our behavior, but the conversation has at least begun. With Brexit, the UK will be completely left out of this, and there's no serious initiative from the government to address the issue. So, what is the solution to this massive phenomenon? You may think I'm going to propose some type of intervention on social media to break up these echo chambers and end with fake news. But that triggers again the fear of censorship or regulation. And that's not the point. The situation is not calling for active censorship. It is calling for active citizenship. The UK constitutes the biggest online advertising market in Europe. The dependency on this industry is massive, but the attention to the side effects are minimal. This is not about finding the ultimate solution to the problem, but it is about starting a long and complex but necessary debate. We need to start having a conversation about this instrument that is influencing our everyday lives, an instrument that is dealing with our future and putting democracy at stake. In conclusion, it is said that we learn more about life in painful situations than in thriving moments. Indeed, if such a disturbing situation in my home country taught me something, it is the precious nature of a previously hidden reality. Freedom of speech, something that we take for granted in our everyday lives. We need to change our perspective about how we look at censorship. We need to stop looking at social media as something that is working for us, when in reality it is also working against us. We need to understand how freedom of speech is being threatened and speak more than ever to demand a change. At this moment, we are at a crossroads. The road we choose from here will determine our freedom as citizens, politics, and society forever. Us, people born in the digital age, must choose the best road for humanity. Therefore, let's never take democracy for granted. Let's be conscious of the path of social media. And let's take back control of our democracy. Thank you very much.